I think that there are two different parts to your question, though. If you're talking about right and wrong, what journalists do need to be able to do is, at a level of fact, things that are provable, be able to step in and say something is right or something is wrong. If the facts contradict what someone tells you in an interview, you should, in a way that is not holding them up to ridicule, but is being clear to a reader, say that they said this, that, and the other thing, but actually something else is true, if it's actually provably true. But that's not the same as deciding between what's morally right or wrong. And that's where you're quite correct that a journalist has to be humble about not coming in and playing God and saying who's morally correct. That in many parts of human experience, the journalist is in the middle of not an argument between right and wrong, but an argument between two different versions of what's right. When I wrote my book, Jew versus Jew, which was mentioned before, it was all about battles between two versions of what is right. What's the right way to live a Jewish life in America? What's the right relationship for American Jews to have with Israel? What's the right way for a religion that was historically patriarchal to deal with modern feminism? And so that whole book was about not saying this side is right and the other is wrong. It was a way of saying, here's a really complicated issue with some people of goodwill and passion on both sides. And I'm going to try to be accurate in portraying that argument. But then there are other times where you do need to step in and quote someone, even though someone you spoke to may have been very sympathetic to you, but if they are wrong, if they're telling you something that's provably incorrect, then you're failing your reader if you do not correct it when you publish your article. Because we think a lot, as we should as journalists, about the morality of how we deal with our sources and our subjects. And it is moral. We have to feel that our morality is at stake in dealing ethically with the people we report upon. But we also have an obligation to our readers. And our obligation, I always tell my students, your obligation to the people we interview is to be accurate in reporting what they've said, to treat them respectfully, to take seriously what they've said. But that obligation to the source cannot take precedence, cannot be a higher value than your value to the general public. Because if you were trying to just be nice and friendly and supportive in a personal way to someone you've interviewed, and that leads you to not be as accurate and truthful and factual as possible to your public, then you're failing at the larger task. And that larger task is, as journalists, we have a big part in the way democratic societies function. And I don't care if certain people in my own country disparage that now. I totally believe that's a vital role for us to play. And if we start to alter what we write or broadcast for the public only because of it makes us feel like we've been, kinder to a source, then we're still failing.